Hey guys, what's going on? This is Badfish here with another episode of Gone Gaming, and of course, welcome back to the beautiful city of San Pedro. San Pedro, for those of you new to my channel, is my ongoing realistic Cities Skylines series. I hope you guys enjoy it. And today we are bringing it to the small town of Bolton. So a few episodes ago, I did make a giant cereal mill, a corporate farm, if you will, as well as like some farming homesteads. And I started out this little town that you're seeing right now. I wanted to finish it out. I wanted to get it done. So I'm going through, I'm adding these little cul-de-sacs using the 6-lane roads, which I think is real fun. And we're just gonna build out the population a little bit, make a nice little small community outside of the farms. And I think it ends up looking really nice. If you missed that episode with the giant cereal mill, you did miss the conspiracy theory, the ongoing conspiracy theory with San Pedro. And by that, by ongoing, I mean I mentioned it offhand twice, and now I'm going to explain it off the dome. So let's go. So there's a giant cereal mill called Colossal Mills, and they bought out this entire farming homestead, all of it. So now all the land is corn. And then, as a coincidence, there's a giant waste transfer system called Colossal Waste. Coincidence? I'll let you be the judge of that. All I know is someone's lining the pockets of San Pedro's politicians, so watch out. So moving on, we're looking at the cul-de-sacs. We're just building out with the American Eclectic pack. That's the pack I've been using for everything. It's really nice. It really fits the kind of West Coast vibe that I'm going for in this city, and it really builds out nice as well, as far as fitting with the landscape and things like that. And luckily, the vanilla props with them aren't too intrusive to the actual landscaping that I want to do. They're pretty small, so it's not a big deal. Please don't look at my pipes, they're gross. Anyway, just putting out a ton of houses, trying to switch them up as much as I can. My method to do that is, while I'm putting them down, is just use the mouse wheel violently to move from asset to asset, so I'm not using any in the same group next to each other. It usually works out pretty well. There are a couple places where you're going to see some stuff repeat, but again, there's going to be one spot where I put 3 of the same house down. That was actually intentional. The reason I did that is I worked in property management for a little bit, and you get to meet a lot of like house builders and people like that. And there's some dudes who will buy like 3 plots of land and just build the same house because that's what they know how to build, is that house, and they're going to build that house. That's more prevalent in places like Florida and things like that, but I just thought it was a funny little addition. Like, some dude just bought this 3 plots of land and just said, I'm gonna build this house 3 times and then sell it to people. So little fun story behind something that you will only see on camera for 30 seconds, if that. And then we are gonna add in a nice little shopping district over here. Very small, because this is a very small town. I think it doesn't even have 1,000 people in it when we're all said and done. Of course, that's in Cities Skylines population statistics, so take that with a grain of salt and, take it for what it is. I'm not really sure what the actual ratio is. I think it's like 70%. I don't know. Actually, it's not even close to 70%. I don't know what it is. But I know there's a ratio between actual population and Skylines population. So 1,000 in Skylines population, I'm not sure exactly what that would equate to. And then just adding a couple more little neighborhoods down here. We did have those stretching into the farmland. I'd rather them just be standalone along the little riverfront right there. And finishing out, so this is going to be a big grocery store. I put 2 big parking lots because, again, I always feel like grocery stores have those giant parking lots, and definitely when there's a rush on groceries, you gotta need them on Thanksgiving. You gotta need that big grocery store. This Strict Toaster Cafe, that one is one of my favorite assets that I put down today. I think it looks real neat. I just like the look of it in general, and of course I'm a fan of Strict Toaster and YouTube, so putting that in is fun too. But it's just a cool looking diner asset, and I think definitely for a small town, especially a small American town, having a diner is like the way to go. It's what you do. Right here, I royally screw up my parking lots, and then I kind of fix them, and they look okay, but it was getting rough there for a second. These parking lots can be real wonky sometimes. They're great, but sometimes you'll get cars like flying into them, or just sometimes you can't get it quite right with the decals, but they are really nice, especially for like a good bit of big detailing. And then just putting down some static parking lots like right next to the actual like restaurants and stuff. So in my mind, the big parking lot is servicing basically just the grocery store. Obviously people can park there and walk over, but I did want to have smaller parking lots for the actual commercial areas themselves, the actual stores themselves. And then just adding in some wonky lines, because for some reason my straight arrow wasn't working, so I was like gonna have to make do with these ones. And then using my planters to kind of edge in this. But yeah, for some reason my straight arrow to go as far as marking the way to go wasn't working. It just like didn't show up when I put it down, so I just decided to use these little turning ones. You know, sometimes you got to make do with what you get. Nothing wrong with that. And then just popping down some palm trees, because again, this is San Pedro, we gotta have our palm trees. And some lights. I really liked how that light played with the diner itself. I kind of felt like it kept the old school motif going on with it, so I wanted to put that in there. And then the bank, and we've had some fun with lines and just kind of edging in a cool little, drive-through for the ATM and things like that. I didn't like the way it curved. It didn't look realistic to me, so I used this planter again just to edge things in. Highly recommend getting a planter pack, any planter pack off the workshop if you're looking to do detailing, because it helps you hide a lot and it helps you make things look a lot more professional. So if you look at like the finished product of this compared to what it was just a second ago, looks much better, looks actually realistic, and like the kind of line work a bank would actually have. And I kept it pretty simple on the shrubbery back there. I'm not going to do anything crazy because it's a bank. They're not going to do anything nuts. They're just going to put some bushes down, call it a day. So that's what I did. Put some bushes down, call it a day. And then of course more palm trees. So now we're getting into some different palm trees for fun. Maybe this bank shipped those in and planted them themselves and they fit with this climate. But gonna shift it up a little bit here and there with the palm trees, so we're not always using the same one. Also, for some reason, I have a mad amount of palm tree assets. It's not even on purpose. Like, I had them before I started San Pedro. I don't really know what happened, but they're here. They're here to stay. So then popping down a little cemetery. A lot of small towns will have cemeteries right in the middle of them from the past, like the 1800s usually. Definitely the 1800s in the West Coast, because gold rush era and things like that. So little cemetery right in the middle of the town. And then just finishing out the parking lots, obviously putting down cars and trying to fill them in and putting down some cracks and stuff. I really don't want to keep that concrete pristine. I'm not big on that. And where I am using this much concrete, you definitely want to scuff it up just to give your eyes something else to look at in general. And then of course we need our trash. Eventually I do start using the colossal waste trash. So again, big garbage, watch out for them, because I realize we have that whole section to clean those dumpsters in that waste management facility. So we should have those dumpsters actually placed throughout the city, so it makes sense. And then just adding some little benches and places for people to congregate right by the cafe, right next to this big area. Eventually there's going to be a bus stop there. I didn't get around to making the bus line just this second. Traffic's still floating around 75 to 80%, so we have buses and some public transport in the little big city that we have on the edge of the map, but nowhere else yet, so I will build that out. So here's our colossal waste dumpsters, pop down right behind the Piggly Wiggly. Just putting some different trash props and things like that. I did put down these boxes. I ended up taking them out because I just felt like they didn't work where I had them, and I wanted to put parking there. So getting the employee parking put in. A lot of parking lots. Big parking lot show over here, guys. We love them. They filled in some of the cracks. Those ones are new. Couldn't fill those ones in yet. Wasn't in the budget. And then just like a little vendor delivery spot, because not everybody's going to be shipping over in those giant trucks. So I wanted to just have a couple vans there, and then of course again scuffing up that concrete. So we're just gonna round out today by finishing out our suburban area, of course, doing some good old suburb landscaping, which is always fun. But I am using again those blue gum trees for most of this, and I have a new kind of way that I'm trying out my landscaping. For some reason, I can't envision like natural growth patterns of trees when there's no trees down. So I've started just putting down an absolute madman amount of trees just off the top. So what you're seeing right now is not me actually trying to landscape, it's me just putting down as many trees as I can, furiously clicking, and then I go through and I start deleting. For some reason, I can envision like the natural growth patterns much better by subtraction rather than addition. It's almost like giving a haircut. So for some reason, it just works better for me. So if you have any trouble putting down trees and things, maybe try that out. Maybe it'll help you out too. But for me, it definitely seems to work a lot better. So this is going to be a tree heavy minute or two here, guys, just because we did want to get this all kind of landscaped out and built out the rest of the suburbs before we tackle the last project, which is just going to be like a little educational center. So we're going to have an elementary school and a high school combo. So those are those 3 houses I was talking about earlier. That's the guy that knows how to make one house. He got some riverside property and was like, that house, go in here, going on this river, it's gonna look great. And people bought him, so clearly he's up to something. And again, just adding in my gigantic thicket of large trees. Again, I don't know if these trees naturally would grow. Well, I know they would grow in an arid climate. I'm aware that gum trees typically do that. But I don't know if they would grow this densely. I'm not aware of that. So if you, are up on your botany, please don't, come sue me, please don't get mad. But I just think they look nice. I think it fits in well with the Suburban pack itself. And again, just having the assets that you need. That's so big for doing any kind of detailed town or city. Just getting the assets that fit the theme, and these American Eclectic pack, they fit the theme to a T, so very happy with those. And again, just so many trees. We're probably taking all of the water in San Pedro in this area in the current moment. But again, it's gonna be okay, so don't get too stressed out if you're watching this and just being like, that's so many trees. Because here we go, we're getting rid of them. And again, I just think you can see the growth patterns better when there's actually trees there. You can see what it should look like compared to, when it's a blank plane and you just gotta kind of go off the top of your head. I think it's just easier to see it when they're already there. Don't know, but maybe it'll help someone else. Maybe it's just because I'm used to living in New England and all we have is forests, so maybe that's it. So maybe it's just on me. But now we're going to start out our little educational center. Like I said, it's way too big for this town, but I'm okay with it because I like the assets and, people can commute to this school. Maybe it's a private school that people really love. That's a thing. That's a thing in America is private institutions of education that, people send their kids to, even if it's super far away in the middle of a farming town. We didn't have any dugouts for this baseball field, so I'm actually using carports. Honestly, I don't think it could have worked out any better. I think they look great as dugouts. I'm going to need to add some extra fencing to them. I don't do that in this part. I just add fencing around the field itself. But I should put some fences in front of them because a foul ball is going to go straight into that dugout and take some heads. So just finishing out the fencing. I didn't really have a good tall fence that fit in here, so I just had to use this somewhat tall fence as a backstop. It doesn't look amazing, but it looks okay for now. And when you scroll out, you can't even tell the difference, so it's not a big deal. And then we are going to add a track and field like football field. Again, this is a private school. We're considering this a private school. That's why it's not BHS, because it's not Bolton High School. Bolton, by the way, is the name of this town. It's CHS for, some sort of, maybe it's Catholic high school and they're a private Catholic institution. I don't know. But that's why it's so big compared to the town. That's my headcanon at least. It's definitely not just because I thought that asset was fun. I mean, it totally was because of that, but hey. And final parking lot here, guys, just again to round out the space. It's a big space. We're just gonna scuff them up too. And we're just gonna finish out by adding in some like stains and things, looking at the pipes, making sure everything looks clean and tidy, and then trying to do some more commercial, and then realizing it just ain't the time or place. But I'm gonna let the music play out, guys. I'll see you on the other side for a nice little live play and some cinematics, but I hope you enjoyed the build. Okay guys, that's gonna do it for that time lapse. I hope you enjoyed it as we look over our beautiful baseball field in our high school that's 8 sizes too big for this town. I love this little dinky backstop I made. It was the only bigger fence I had, so sue me. But yeah, the high school is gigantic, but I love it, so it's fine. Come in here, we have a little bit of a commercial area, pretty small, not a lot going on. Of course, we got the iconic Piggly Wiggly. And of course, just a little bank and this cafe. I love this cafe. It's beautiful. It looks great. Yeah, I love that intersection. It's a good one. And then going in here, just our little suburbs. Again, this American Eclectic Pack does most of the work, which is great. You know, it's definitely nice when you have a housing pack that fits what you're looking for. So shout out to asset creators. You guys make my life easy. And I love doing this little cul-de-sac thing. I think it looks nice. Do I wish I had a road that didn't populate these? Of course, but you know, we gotta live with what we got sometimes. I'm sure I could find something to change it, but you know, I just haven't yet, so here we are. But I think it ended up looking pretty good for a nice little town. We're pretty well populated now, like across as far as little towns. Got all of these going on. Got our big little big city over here, little big planet. And then we'll have to start building out our big cities. I want to do something with this. I haven't even like really looked at this yet, but we could do like an observatory or something over here, or we could do some fun stuff. So I think that is finally gonna be what the plan is to start getting the downtown built out next episode. Now that we have all these kind of tertiary towns, we will build some other little towns like over here, and maybe even like over here. I don't know. But for today, this one's complete. It looks really good. I like it, you know, when you look at it with the farms too, and you kind of see everything together. And having the trees over here, and then having it kind of go into more sparse fields over here. But we're gonna jump into some cinematics now for you guys. So enjoy those, and I will see you next time. Alright guys, that is going to do it for this episode of Gone Gaming. As always, my name's Badfish. If you liked the episode, definitely leave a like and a comment down below letting me know what you thought. I really appreciate that, but I hope you guys did enjoy the build, and I'll see you next time.